All right, I think we're live. How's everyone doing today? I think we're good. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Oh, there we go. There's the feedback I'm looking for. How's everyone? Thanks for joining me on this Christmas Eve. I know it's not an ideal day, but nonetheless, thanks for joining me here. All right, I see you guys are saying you can hear me. Perfect. All right, so welcome to the live stream. I wanted to try to get one in here before Christmas passed just so that we could talk about Rogue One and anything else that we're looking forward to in 2017. Maybe what we'll do just to start is just get a check-in. Where's everyone from? If you haven't heard the previous Hangouts, I'm from Canada myself. All right, good to have you here, Andrew. I'm glad you could make it. Yeah, I thought the time would work out a little bit better too. All right, Victor's from New York, Ireland, Germany. Hey, Legacy, thanks for stopping in again. You're in England, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so yeah, a lot of European, a lot of US. Oh, we have BC. Andrew's from BC, very nice. Hi from Russia there, Mac. Sweden. Yeah, I was figuring I wanted to do one today too, just because we could go a little bit earlier and some of the Europeans maybe could make it in a little bit easier. Seattle. Good morning there, Alex. 9 a.m. in Seattle. I appreciate you joining us. Bulgaria. Very nice, John. I sent out a tweet. What I'll do is I'll just wait another couple seconds here just for some people to join us. And then I'm going to start grilling you guys on Rogue One. I want to know what you guys thought about it. Yeah, there are a lot of Texas people here, Eric. Belgium, very nice. All right, so let me put this out here just to start. What's everyone's rating? I'm sure a lot of you have seen Rogue One by now. What do you guys give it out of 5? And I'll give you guys my rating in here in just a second. All right, Victor says it was amazing. Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 4.7, 3, 3's 4. All right, that's really interesting. Hey, Ryan. Very nice that you could join us here. 4.5 for Ryan. Anyone give it 5 out of 5? Anyone find it perfect? I think 4 and 4.5 is about the average here. Yeah, Ben says 5 out of 5 for the massacre at the end. I think I give it a strong 4.5 myself. I loved it. If you saw the review, I was a big fan. Luckily, I'm doing this a week later, so I had a chance to decompress and take it all in. Yeah, I agree. I think you guys are hitting it right on the head. If I could rate it, I would say, yeah, I agree, Damien. It wasn't the perfect film. I think that it had enough, though, if we look at it just from the Star Wars standpoint. From a Star Wars film and everything that I was looking for going in, I would give it probably a 4.8, if not a outright 5. It was really good. I think taking it as a movie and everything and taking it as a whole, I would probably give it about a 4.5. Yeah, it was really well done. Oh, okay. So Greg and Wake Me Up Inside say that it was better than The Force Awakens. Does anyone else think that it's better than The Force Awakens? Because I know my brother and I, we talked about it after we saw it. And right after the movie, I would have put Rogue One ahead of The Force Awakens, but I don't know if I have it ahead at this point. I think it's kind of split. Yeah, I agree. Obi-Wan. The end was really good for Vader. Oh, that's interesting. A lot of people think that it was better than The Force Awakens. I think I can agree to that there, Anthony. Anthony says too much crammed into small time, very little character development. If we look at it like that, I would have to agree. Some of the character development was a little bit underwhelming. For me, at least, the most underwhelming character was probably Bodhi, the Imperial pilot. I thought that he got a little bit lost in the shuffle there. I'm not quite sure. I guess they needed a pilot in the story, and they got one, I guess. Oh, that's interesting, Ryan. So I take it you went home and right away watched a New Hope. I didn't do that myself, but that was probably a good idea. I know before. Oh, okay, Crazy brings up the novelization. Yeah, I'm going to ask you guys about that in a second. I know before in the hangout that we did a week before the movie came out, we were talking about what we thought we were going to get from Vader. There was a lot less Vader than I assumed there was going to be. I thought we were going to get a number of scenes with him, but we only got, I guess it would be three. Did you guys get enough from Vader? Because I think we got just enough. I was praying for a scene like we got at the end. Has anyone read Lords of the Sith? Yeah, I Hal says I'm glad they didn't overdo Vader. I think that that was probably the best move. Yeah, everyone looks like everyone's a big fan of that. Okay, I think some of you guys read Lords of the Sith. There's a really good scene in Lords of the Sith where Vader's running down a hallway and you can feel exactly how it happened on screen in Rogue One is how I pictured it in Lords of the Sith. I liked Lords of the Sith as well. Now we didn't get the Lords of the Sith ending that I thought that we might have gotten. I thought we were going to get a Vader execution with at least one of them. I thought maybe Cassian would survive at the end, and then perhaps we get an execution scene with Vader and Cassian. But nonetheless, I think we got. Yeah, Damien says Lords of the Sith really shows how miserable and broken he truly is. Yeah, that one was a real. That ending was really dark. Oh, okay. Yeah, you asked for Ahsoka for Christmas. That'd be a good gift. I really enjoyed Ahsoka. Yeah, Ken North says he didn't expect Jin to die. That was something that we talked about too in the hangout. I think it was about 50-50 on whether or not we thought Jin was going to die. I think if we really thought about it though, I think we would have come to the conclusion that it ended pretty much, in my opinion, how it should have. I don't know if we could have had any of those characters go forward. Yeah, what did you guys think about the "don't choke on your aspirations" line? Because personally, I loved it. Although I've read a number of articles, and these were mainstream articles, and they were taken aback by it in a lot of ways. Yeah, I agree. I thought seems like most people loved this. Some people thought it was a bit cheesy. I mean, I could see that, but I think Dark Samus says Vader being Vader. I tended to agree. I thought it was okay. It didn't strike me as being out of place when I saw it. Yeah, that end scene with I think everyone really liked that end scene with Vader. Now I thought that it what did you guys think about the ending? I thought that if it ended, I'm not sure how I feel about it ending on Princess Leia getting the plans. I was hoping maybe it ended right with Vader just standing there watching the ship go away, but see, I really agree with Ryan here. So he says it reminded me of Anakin from the Clone Wars series, and it's something Anakin would say. I agreed. I didn't have any problem with that line. I thought that it was quite funny. Yeah, I could see how the ending was good and ties in nicely right into episode 4. Sure, we can talk about Tarkin. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about Tarkin. Oh, thanks, Happy Face. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you're enjoying them. Braced Polecat says the ending shows how close they got away with the plans and how dire the situation was. I really enjoyed that part of it. That's a good point. Yeah, you'd always wonder how close were they to getting caught by Vader with the plans. And he was close. A part of me, if you didn't know what was going to happen, you would have thought that he would have got there and grabbed them. That's funny, Peter. Peter says CGI Tarkin looks so real. I don't know what it was, but I was probably the last person in the theater, and my theater was probably about 75% full. I was probably the last in the theater to realize that Tarkin was CGI, and I don't know why that was. I think what happened is that tight shot on his face, that first shot where he turns around, I think the Death Star was in the background, and what I did was I think I was just looking at the Death Star too much to notice. Yeah, Daniel asks, has anyone heard about Carrie Fisher's heart attack? Yeah, the last that I heard, she was in intensive care, sort of resting after her. The condition was upgraded to stable. So I was really happy to hear about that. Yeah, I agree, Daniel. Last I heard, she was stabilized as well. Yeah, that was kind of a punch to hear that. Yeah, definitely sending out a lot of positive thoughts to Carrie Fisher. Last I heard, thankfully, she was upgraded to stable, so that was very nice to hear. Yeah, I agree there. Stay gold. We need our princess to get into 2017 here. Yeah, I was pretty shocked by that there, Isaac. A lot of people had a problem with the pun. Now, not to spoil too much because I think there might be deleted scenes, but I was able to pick up the Rogue One Ultimate Visual Guide, and there was a lot of scenes that were cut out of the film. And I wonder how much, from what I gather just from the pictures that they have in the visual guide, there was a lot more on the history between Krennic and the Ursos. And then also, there was a lot more with Saw Gerrera as well. It seemed that a majority of Saw's scenes were cut in the end. Canis asks, are you a fan of the Clone Wars? I am. I'm a big fan of the Clone Wars. If so, who's your favorite clone? Right now, that's a good question. Right now, it's probably Fives. I've seen the episode, the first arc of season 6, a number of times now, and I would have to say my favorite right now is Fives. Oh, that's a good question. 40PC asks, what did you think about the lack of an opening crawl? I was This is something that I forgot to bring up in the live hangout beforehand. I was actually happy that there wasn't an opening crawl. I was planning to talk about it a little bit more, but I was pretty sure that they weren't going to do one just because it would pull you right into the saga trilogies. So I wasn't too surprised. I agree. Wake Me Up. There, the Five's death is pretty tragic. Yeah, Rex is a good one there, Steven. You can't argue with that. I think I'm with you there, Wiseman. I don't think they needed a crawl. The I'm not sure exactly what you would call it. Maybe a cold open where the movie started and then a few minutes in they had the Rogue One logo flash up. What did you guys think about that? If you've seen Breaking Bad, it was sort of was referring to it as the Breaking Bad opening. Oh, Beto says Catalyst was probably my least favorite Star Wars book outside of Battlefront. Huh, that's interesting. I think for me, Catalyst is might be my favorite of the new canon books. I haven't read Battlefront yet myself, but every time I go to the bookstore, the hardcover's staring at me, and I'm so tempted to pick it up. Yeah, Ken Norris says he wants a crawl. Fortunately, we'll get one coming up a lot sooner than even I realized. It's amazing how fast 2016 flew by. That's true, Connor. Yeah, Connor says, I think people who aren't as big of Star Wars fans could have used the crawl. That's true. You are pretty much thrown right into the story. Paul says, Catalyst is way up there with my favorite books. It added so much to the film. Yeah, I agree. I was really looking forward to Rogue One after reading Catalyst. I talked about it a little bit on the last Hangout. The reason why I liked Catalyst so much is for me, there's a nice connection between Catalyst and really Rogue One as well that we didn't get in any of the prequels or the original trilogy. But there is a significantly large citizen and non-Force users, non-Sith, non-Jedi establishment that's making the Empire, and then also too what goes on to become the First Order. Without that, you can't have any of the Empire or the First Order. So I like that it established that there was a hierarchy and people vying for positions within the Empire, looking to carry out the wills of the Emperor. I thought that it was a great book, and even the movie too, without any Force users or any lightsabers. I think that you need those stories in Star Wars. Yeah, Lex says Catalyst is the opening crawl to Rogue One. A lot of the pictures that I saw in the visual history, it looked like they really almost tried to retell the main points from Catalyst early in the movie because there's a lot of I won't spoil the book, but there's a lot of scenes that you would have seen from the book that look like they were going to show up on the big screen as well. Yeah, Brace Polecat says, did you notice Vader's assistant during the Mustafar scenes? And what do you think about that? Yeah, I thought that it was really interesting that they gave Vader an assistant. I talked about it a little bit in the Vader Mustafar Castle video that I did with Vinay. I personally think, let me know what you guys think. I personally think that I could see him along the lines of Yup Tashu from the Aftermath series, being almost a Sith cultist in that line, not really seeing him as a dark acolyte or any type of force user. I really see him as an attendant and somebody that helps him out and is basically just a an advisor in some respects as well. Yeah, TM Day says one of the acolytes of the Beyond, maybe. Yeah, there could be a connection there as well. Huh, have you ever seen the really old fan theory video about Kit Fisto possibly surviving being killed? No, I haven't seen that. That's an interesting theory. John says, I bet we'll see Vader's castle again. Yeah, I'm hoping that we definitely see it again. I think it's a great setting now for a lot of stories that they could do upcoming. Joshua asks, this is a good question. Was Sharu a member of the Church of the Force? As I understand it, he's not. Sharu is a part of a group that's called the Guardians of the Wills. And there's a significant connection between that group, the Guardian of the Wills, and what we saw happening on Jeddah, the Temple of the Wills that was on Jeddah. Yeah, Rob says the Wills mention was pretty cool and now canon. Yeah, they've done a really good job now of bringing back that whole, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, I'm sure you are, but the whole backstory of the Wills and what that was alluding to in the original trilogy. If you're not familiar, the way that I understand it is basically when George Lucas wrote the original script for A New Hope, he had the conception that he was writing it from the point of view of a group of people or an individual who was called the Wills. And basically, they were the storyteller of the saga. And so, yeah, Wiseman says, do a video on the Wills. I might have to do something on probably the Guardian of the Wills. Baze was, yep, Luke says, was Baze also a Guardian? Baze was a Guardian. And sorry, I'll just get back to the origin where the Wills originated. But Baze, as I understand it, Baze was also a Guardian of the Wills, a member of that organization, like Sharut was. But he had fallen out of the more philosophical and I guess what we would call the religious side of it, as you could probably tell. And he just committed to defending Sharut. But just getting back to the original, because I find this really fascinating. So George Lucas basically saw A New Hope being told as a story from someone or a group of individuals called the Wills. And what had happened, and this was like a third person storyteller who was all knowing and who knew the story and then was relaying it onto the audience. But basically what happened was he switched that, and what was the Wills became the Force. So the Force was this overguiding, all knowing, all encompassing aspect to Star Wars. But what had happened was there was different lore aspects like the Journal of the Wills and that type of thing. And originally, there was a lot of lore and connection between the Journal of the Wills and different aspect of this Wills sort of side story where that would connect into Force Ghosts. And actually, I think it was originally, yeah, Mace Windy, exactly. Lucky. Yep, I guess Luke Skywalker was a original Mace Windy. But there was a lot there between the Wills and the Force, and then becoming Force Ghosts and everything like that. But basically, now we're getting a lot, at least the name and a lot of the philosophical aspects that is the Wills at this point. And with Rogue One, we see now that there's a whole, almost like a Church of the Force. They're not Force users, but they do look at it from a philosophical understanding. I really like that. There was a lot of good information in the visual guide about that. I probably should do a video on that, but I'll get back to reading some of the questions here. Kamikaze 201. Oh, just came to like. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I hope you have a good Christmas here and a good holiday season. And I should just say too, because I know we've had a bunch of new people join us. Thank you very much for joining me here on Christmas Eve. I know it's probably not the most ideal day, but I appreciate you guys dropping in. K2SO was a good character, I agree. They always do a good job with the droids. Oh, really good question by iHal. Let's throw this out there to everyone. Whose death affected you the most? Let's go with whose death affected you the most and who's affected you the least. For me, it was Sharut. I don't know what it was about that, but that hit me. I said it in the review. That one hit me in the feels pretty hard. I did like Sharut's mantra. I'm one with the Force is with me. I liked all that. I liked the, again too, like I was saying with the more imperial aspect, the military hierarchy, the non-Force users. I like that they're making the galaxy bigger, in my opinion, when they're adding these characters who aren't Force users, but they try to have a philosophical understanding. Jin and Cassian, looks like it was a lot. The K2SO, yeah, K2 was the first one, I think. Galaxy Soda, hey Galaxy, thanks for stopping in. So tragic. Yeah, K2 was. Did anyone have? Okay, here it is. TFN says the pilots was the least impactful. So yeah, I agree. I would say that Bodhi's was probably the least impactful death. But for me, oh, Red 5, that's a good one. Yeah, I felt no connection to Bodhi's character. In fact, I don't even really know. In the review, I didn't talk too much about the different aspects looking at it as a movie review, just because I don't know if you guys would enjoy to hear me break down a movie like that. But I didn't really care too much about the Bodhi character either. Yeah, AP says, could Sharut been a Force user that did not pass the Jedi trials? Just something I was hoping for. That would be a really interesting aspect. As I understand it, just from the visual guide, he was not Force sensitive. Although, given everything that he did, it probably isn't too out there to think that he was. That is one thing that I wonder about people who are more casual fans. Because I just get the feeling that, like, if my parents saw it, for example, or some of my friends who just watch the movies and that's it, I mean, I'm sure they would just assume that he was a Jedi. Yeah, Rob probably nailed Bodhi as much as you can. He risked so much and even till the end stayed true and got the job done. That's true. He was your typical crisis of conscious character. But just in the I wish we would have, and this is why I would have taken I think there was a good 20 minutes that they could have added to the film. I know they probably wouldn't want to have a 2.5 hour Rogue One film, but I wish we got to see the original conversation between him and Galen Erso, just to add a little bit more to his character, because he was just, it seemed like he was the same guy throughout the entire film. Okay, S, what do you think about the Saw group? I like that group. I like the whole Saw aspect to the film. A lot of people I saw too were complaining a little bit about the Saw aspects. I think that there was a lot more. There was more to Saw. If you read Catalyst, you'll see some good Saw Gerrera info in there. But there was a lot more that they had shot that touched on Saw Gerrera's character. And I think it would have helped a lot. We saw him basically at the end of his arc. I mean, we had the scene where he rescued Jin, but really you saw the last 10% of his storyline. Yeah, Money says, I wish we would have seen Darth Vader's limbs and suit being put on. Yeah, that would have been really good. That's funny. The awesome says, I just didn't like Saw's voice. My brother kind of mentioned a number of things like that, just those types of aspects. But like I was saying, I think that if you saw him as the madman or the person who'd lost their mind, it makes a little bit more sense. But unfortunately, we didn't get to see that. Yeah, Kamikaze says why Bodhi wasn't crazed even though they said he would lose his sanity. That was a little bit confusing. I wish I remembered what that monster, for lack of a better word, is. Yeah, Cult Leader says, I think Saw should have had more screen time. I agree. I There must have been, like I've been saying, there must have been. I would assume they would have done it with Jin flashbacks, where you would see some of the story of what happened to her after she was rescued by Saw, but there had to have been a good chunk that they cut from the movie, and I think it would have been better if we saw some of those Saw scenes. Now, if you know his backstory, if you guys have seen the Clone Wars and knew the Onderon aspects to him, and then if you read Catalyst, you got a lot. Yeah, see, and Jacob saying or Saw felt really tacked on for no reason, and that's almost what you felt like watching it. I mean, it's just 1 second he's saving Jin, and then the other one he's too extreme for even the rebellion. So Tyrion Lannister says, "Do you agree Rogue One absolutely sucked?" No, I don't. I enjoyed it quite a bit actually. Oh, is it confirmed that Saw is going to be in Rebels? I saw that there was something about that, but I didn't get a chance to look into it more. Yeah, K2SO was really good. Oh, that's something I wanted to put out to you guys. So Zombie 8 says, "What was the worst Star Wars movie?" Let's start with that question. I think last time everyone pretty much agreed it was Attack of the Clones. That was my least favorite. Was Attack of the Clones. But that said, I know some of you would put Rogue One the holiday special. Oh, the Clone Wars movie. Yeah, that one's tough to throw in with the rest of them. Sith Ruler says Phantom Menace. I think it's going pretty much like last time. A lot of people put Attack of the Clones at the bottom. But I know everyone was saying that some people were saying that they would put Rogue One ahead of The Force Awakens. Where would does Rogue One rank now on the other seven films? Because for me, I would probably put it at fourth or fifth. The eight, Damien says the Phantom Menace has aged better than Attack of the Clones. I think I couldn't agree more. I almost did a video discussing how good the Phantom Menace was. I mean, it was still a flawed film in the entire scheme of things, but every time I watch it now, I always pick out little parts that I didn't notice before. And just with the aspects of Qui-Gon and some different things about Anakin Skywalker's birth and things like that, I think that the Phantom Menace, I would put it ahead of Attack of the Clones for sure. Okay, so Huen says Empire Strikes Back, Rogue One, Revenge of the Sith. That's very interesting. So yeah, so Rogue One was good. Yeah, you must have really enjoyed it then. Did Saw and Ahsoka cooperate? Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'm not sure if there's a connection with Saw and Bale, but if there is, then there's a chance that there would be some cooperation between the two. Mercs United says, "What did you think about Episode 3?" That's another movie. Every time I see it is better and better. Actually, right now I'm reading the Revenge of the Sith novelization for the first time ever. The Revenge of the Sith novelization is very good. My, this is a good question. PC says, "What is your favorite part of the Star Wars films?" If we're talking favorite scene or just favorite anything that stands out, and then I'm going to go to Galaxy Soda's ranking here. He ranked all of them. But my favorite scene, or the thing that stands out the most, is just the Return of the Jedi Vader Luke duel at the end. I think that's why I have the Return of the Jedi a lot higher on my list than a lot of people. Although let's look at Galaxy's ranking here. He put Empire, Return of the Jedi, Rogue One, A New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones. That's a good ranking. I would go in order: Empire, A New Hope, then Return of the Jedi. I'm going to go Phantom Menace over Rogue One. Even though I would probably give Rogue One a higher rating than the Phantom Menace. But that said, I think the second part of the trilogy is going to be really good and make the Phantom Menace better. But I'm going to go Phantom Menace, Rogue One. Actually, I may have screwed this up. It's going to go Empire, A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, Phantom Menace, Rogue One, and then Attack of the Clones. If I said the Phantom Menace before Rogue One, I meant Rogue One, then Phantom Menace. Yeah, I think a lot of people agree Empire is probably the best of the films. Ah, very interesting. That's an interesting Alexis. Yeah, I see a lot of people. The Phantom Menace has a lot of people on different extremes. People either really love the Phantom Menace or were not big fans of it. Oh, these are some really interesting lists. Okay, who has Rogue One second? Attack of the Clones. Yeah, it's nice to see that Revenge of the Sith is every time. It seems like every year people are becoming more and more fans of Revenge of the Sith. Has anyone read the Revenge of the Sith novelization? I Hal asked, what did you think about R2D2 and C3PO? See, I thought it was good. I liked that it was just in there quickly. I don't think you needed any more than that. If they would have aged up Anakin, the Phantom Menace would have been better. I don't think I can disagree. They probably started it a bit too young. Okay, so some Okay, so a lot of people did read the novelization. I've been trying my best here to get through Path of Destruction with Darth Bane, but I keep jumping to other books before it. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to review the Revenge of the Sith novelization because it's my first time reading that. I've heard so much good things about it and finally picked it up recently. Oh, so Candace, you just spotted as well. That's hilarious. Yeah, there was some good Black Friday sales that I could take advantage of. And I finally grabbed the Revenge of the Sith novelization. Thanks, Tarek. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you're enjoying the videos. Yeah, Durandal says read Labyrinth of Evil. Luckily, I picked up the Dark Lord trilogy, so I do have Labyrinth of Evil too. I actually picked up the Dark Lord trilogy at a really good price. So I have Labyrinth of Evil, the novelization, Revenge of the Sith, and then I'm trying to see. I think it's called Rise of the Dark Lord or Darth Vader, Rise of the Dark Lord. I forget exactly, but all three are in there. Oh, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you enjoy these hangouts. I do too. Now that I know how to do them, I think I'm going to do them a lot more. Oh, thanks, Rosen. I appreciate that. Oh, Alexis says, who's your favorite clone? They say fives. That's funny. That's my favorite as well. Yeah, I was saying earlier in the hangout that I've seen the first story arc of season 6 so much now that it's hard not to have fives up there as my favorite. There's a lot of really good clones though. I always forget a few clones and then I come back to them and forget how much I enjoyed some of them. Yeah, I definitely agree, Ken. Revenge of the Sith out of all the movies has aged the best. And reading the novelization, wow. If you haven't read the novelization, I would definitely recommend it because there's things even in the novelization. It strays away from the movie a lot more than I anticipated, but it's really good. Sith Ruler says favorite Sith. For me, that'd be Darth Bane. Yeah, I need to learn more about Gregor. Henry says Malgus. That might be. Well, I guess technically my favorite Sith would probably be Darth Vader. So it'd be Vader, Bane, and then Malgus, I would have to say, as my top three. Darth Maul's really good too. Yes, 1+2 says, I read the novelization and hated it because it was too inconsistent with the actual film. It definitely veered away. There was a lot more scenes in the novelization. I'm not I'm not completely through it yet, but even I'm about a little bit over half at this point, and I would say half of it at this point wasn't in the movies. So there is quite a bit. Vader, Bane, Revan, that's strong too. Alexa says, "Is Thrawn really your favorite character ever?" I would say top three favorite. I'd put Vader at the top. Anakin Vader's my favorite, then Bane, and then probably Thrawn. Tyler asks, "Are the movie novels considered canon?" It's my understanding that they're not, which is a bit confusing. But no, the movie novels for, let's say, the Phantom or the Force Awakens and for Rogue One now, those are canon as I understand it, but the prequel novelizations and even the original trilogy novelizations aren't canon as I understand it. Now, I was also hoping too, I have the Rogue One novelization coming. It should have been here, I think, yesterday, but I haven't gotten it yet. But I'm hoping to get through that and then do a review of the novelization. I'm actually really looking forward to the Rogue One novelization. Thanks, Five. I'm glad that you're enjoying the videos. Darth Vader, 1 out of 10. What do you think about Rogue One? I think I would put it at about, as a movie, I would probably give it an 8, but just out of Star Wars fan service and from what I wanted, I would say it's about a 9.5. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, Money Me. I'm glad you're enjoying the videos. Oh, Lex, you're reading the Rogue One novelization. How is it? Are you enjoying it? I'm actually looking forward to it. I was hoping that it would get here yesterday, but I'm still waiting for it. Peter asked, "Do you know Stupendous Wave?" I don't know him personally, but I think like all you guys, I've seen his videos. He does great work. Yeah, Ken gives it 9.7, 9.8. We talked in the Hangout before the movie of what we wanted, and if I was to make a list, everything that I thought that I wanted in there basically got in. I was hoping for an awesome Vader scene. We got that. I thought just from a story standpoint, I didn't think there should be too many survivors, if any, at the end of the movie. That ended very well. That was a big step, in my opinion. So Michael says, "Not enough Vader." And that's interesting too, because I did think that there was going to be more Vader scenes than we got. We only had like three, if you think back. I was thinking that there was going to be more scenes, but that end one was just out of control. Vader says, "Do you think Vader's castle is a good idea to have or bad?" I think it's good. I'm glad that he has a situated place of residence. I think to make it Mustafar is even better. It's funny though. My at first when I saw it, I didn't think it was Mustafar. And my brother, who's more of a casual fan than I am, he mentioned it to me after, at the end of the movie, that it was on Mustafar. And I said to him, "No, that wasn't Mustafar, just because it looks so different." And it wasn't until I looked at the Art of Rogue One guide and they confirmed it was Mustafar, I was actually taken back quite a bit. Favorite Jedi, Cole Leader says. That's a good question. Hmm. Maybe Oppo Rancisis? I'm just kidding. Not Oppo, but God, they're so probably Qui-Gon. If I had to say one that I was the biggest fan of, probably Qui-Gon. He hit the moose in the air. That's funny. Somebody had written a comment on that, and it took me a second or two to know what they were referring to. Ooh, rumors has it that Vader's castle may appear in episode 8 or 9. Yeah, see, this is what we get to speculate on now. That's the build up is going to be so much fun to episode 8. I can't wait. So Peter says, "Do you like General Grievous?" I mean, if we were taking just the prequel movies, then no, probably not really. I thought that that was a bit of a waste of a character. But just after everything in the Clone Wars TV show, and I haven't read Labyrinth of Evil yet, but that's going to be a lot of fun. And even the Grievous scenes from the Revenge of the Sith novelization have been really good. If you if you've seen the original Tartakovsky Clone Wars, you would have hoped that a little bit of more of that would have transferred onto episode 3. But he's terrifying in that, and then even in the Revenge of the Sith novelization, they do a really good job of making him some sort of a threat. I didn't feel like he was much of a threat in Revenge of the Sith, the movie. Yeah, Trevor says he's much better in the TV shows. Alexis asks, "Do you like Thrawn being in Rebels?" I do like him in Rebels. At this point, I'm a little bit, I don't want to say frustrated, but I am hoping for a little bit more in 2017 Rebels from Thrawn. I think at this point, it's been too many gambits. I know that they're building to something, but even if you read Heir to the Empire, I mean, it just seemed like he was a little bit more tactical on that. On this one, it's almost like, well, you just take for granted, well, he's smarter than everyone. He must be building to something. I just can't see it yet. I'm hoping that it builds up to something really, really Thrawn-esque. Thrawn in the movies would be good. I think that they're going to take Thrawn in different places. I've seen a couple of interviews with Filoni, and it seems like he kind of knows what he has with Thrawn. Because I know a lot of people were speculating, at least in, I think it was the first hangout we did, whether or not Thrawn was going to make it through Rebels, this season of Rebels. And I'm pretty sure at this point, he's going to get through season 3. I think that would be a mistake. Yeah, that's right. Got it. God Emperor Filoni. Oh, thanks, Peter. That's great to hear that you enjoy them. I appreciate that. So Rogue, that's a good list. It's so hard to, there's so many good planets. I mean, Scarif is up there now too. The scenes on Scarif have been some of my favorite that we've seen. Hoth, the Hoth scenes are my favorite. Oh, there's so many planets that are jumping into my head though. It's hard to choose just one. Dagobah ranks up there high with me. Clone Wars did do a lot to help the prequels along, in my opinion. The key to destroying the Sith. Yeah, it's interesting to see where they're going with that on Rebels. I mean, we're getting a lot. Although Rebels, it seems like they're just kind of building to the getting to Luke. the philosophical question on how to defeat the Sith is pretty interesting. I think that if I had to guess, I'd probably have to think about it more, but I think there's a relation to the Bendu if we're talking about getting rid of the Sith for good. Next EU character retconned into the canon next. I would want. See, I know Bane's in technically, but I don't think it's going to be the same Bane. One that hasn't been touched at all, probably Malgus if we could, but anything out of the Old Republic. I mean, I really hope we get something, even if it's a comic series, that would probably be my favorite. A novel might be hard to do just because they would have to build it a little bit more, but I'm really hoping for some material on the Old Republic at this point. Now, unfortunately, I have to go here in 5 minutes, but maybe what I'll do before I go, I just want to ask you guys, does anyone here play Battlefront? Because I've recently just got an account and I've been playing, and I know I've been playing with a couple of people. Oh, there's so many good questions here. I'm going to go back to the. Do I collect Star Wars figures? No, unfortunately, I don't. Maybe I'll explain why in just a second here. So if you play Battlefront, feel free to add me. My gamer tag is it's the EA Battlefront for Xbox. My gamer tag, and maybe what I'll do is I'll tweet it out or put it in the description here. But my gamer tag is it's SWRC for Star Wars Reading Club. So SWRC Gaming. So yeah, feel free, and if you see me on, send me a a friend request, or I'm not sure exactly, and this is really the problem for me. If you see me on, yeah, Lexus, that's exactly right. I don't know if it has to be capitalized, but the SWRC is capitalized. I'm not sure if it's sensitive to that or not. But if you see me on, send me a partner request. I'm not sure how to do any of that yet. I've just started and I'm still trying to figure it out. Now, has anyone heard anything about? I see Madman says that Battlefront 2. I think you might be referring to the original Battlefront, but I do know that they're coming out with a Battlefront 2 in 2017. Favorite Battlefront map? Right now it's Scarif. Infiltration is probably my favorite that I'm playing right now, but I do love a lot of the Death Star DLC maps. I'm a big fan of the 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 space battles. I grew up playing the old TIE Fighter games when I was really young, so the Death Star maps have been my favorite. Battle Station, I really enjoy. Yeah, Battlefront needed a story. I think that's what the way that I understand it though is that's what we're going to get in the next game. And that's going to come out this year too, so I'm really looking forward to that. Henry says, when you play Battlefront, do you like being Rebels or Empire? It kind of depends on the game, but usually if I have my pick, it's Empire. I don't know what that says about me, but Edith asks, have you read the Kanan comics? I did read the first volume. I thought that it was good. I do have to. What I was doing was I was borrowing them from my local library, so I would read them and then I would have to give them back, and I wasn't able to review them in time or do videos about them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have to pick them up. They're pretty expensive up here in Canada. I talked about that last time, but I think they're worth getting. Well, if you want to get a good Old Republic novel, if we're talking about just the series, the Old Republic or the tie-in games, I read Darth Malgus. It was, or not Darth Malgus. It was called Deceived. It was about Darth Malgus. I read Darth Revan, but or maybe it was called just Revan, but I wasn't a fan of that novel too much. I do like hockey there, Henry. Yeah, I was hoping that there was some more DLCs for Battlefront. I do have the season pass now, so it is nice. I haven't played any of the maps. In fact, I haven't played any of the different games from the Bespin DLC, so I still have a lot personally. Dakota asks, "Do you speak French?" I don't speak French. I mean, you have to take it up here for, I believe it's 6 years mandatory, but I mean, none of it has carried forward. I probably understand a lot more to read it than to actually speak it. I don't play Battlefront 2, no. Yeah, Merry Christmas Eve to you too as well, Grayson. Now, unfortunately, I have to go here, but what I'm going to do before I go, I'm just going to put it out here. What's one thing you're looking forward to the most from 2017? And in fact, maybe I'll do a hangout before the new year comes in, but just in case I don't, what's the one thing you're looking forward to the most from 2017? Whether it be the Battlefront game, I mean, Episode 8, Rebels. Yeah, if you're looking forward to more Star Wars, 2017 is going to be a good year. Oh, yes, Rob's celebration in Orlando. I'm going to be going down to that as well. Me and my brother are going to drive down to that. Ezra and Maul fight, if we get that, for sure. So seems like episode 8, everyone's Rebels in episode 8 for sure. For me, it's probably, I'd have to just take a second and think about everything that's coming out, but there's so many good books that are coming out. Empire's End, the third book to Aftermath. What else? Oh, the Thrawn novel's coming out. Episode 8, of course. So there's so much. I think it's going to be a really good year. So unfortunately, we have 77 people on. I have to go at this point, but I want to thank everyone very much on this Christmas Eve for joining us here. I really appreciate it. But Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope happy holidays again if you don't celebrate Christmas. I hope that you all have a really good Christmas and finish out the 2016 strong. I'll definitely do another one of these in the very near future. But nonetheless, thank you very much for stopping by, everyone. I appreciate it very much. So have a good day, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye, guys.